What if I told you 25 students were crammed into one basement in Brampton, and that's just the tip of the iceberg? Canada's immigration dream is turning into a nightmare. Stay with me. This is a crisis no one's talking about. Chapter 1. Brampton under pressure. Brampton has become one of Canada's fastest growing cities, home to more than 700,000 residents today. Fueled by immigration and international students, its population has soared, but the infrastructure has not kept pace. Hospitals are stretched thin, schools are overcrowded, and housing is bursting at the seams. Long-term residents say their once quiet neighborhoods now face constant turnover, packed houses and rising costs. For newcomers, the situation is equally bleak. Promised opportunity quickly collides with reality, unsafe rentals, exploitation, and a lack of affordable housing options. In 2021, reports showed 63% of international students in Brampton lived in unsuitable housing, the highest rate in the country. Compare that to Toronto at 37%, and it's clear Brampton is ground zero for a deeper problem. Experts estimate there are as many as 30,000 illegal basement suites in the city. These units often escape inspection, lack fire safety compliance, and operate entirely in the shadows. Students arriving from abroad often discover the only available housing is overcrowded, with little privacy or security. Landlords exploit this desperation, charging steep rents for unsafe conditions. While politicians boast about immigration numbers, Brampton residents live with the consequences, a city buckling under pressure, with too little planning and too many broken promises. Beneath the headlines of growth and diversity lies a housing nightmare, and Brampton is at its center. Chapter 2. The basement that shocked Canada. In 2024, city officials uncovered a shocking case. 25 international students squeezed into a single basement unit. Mattresses covered the floor, ventilation was poor, and fire exits were blocked. What horrified the public most wasn't just the number, but the mayor's admission. This happens on a regular basis. In other words, this wasn't an outlier. It was part of a pattern. Inspectors confirmed the unit was a death trap. In case of fire, dozens of lives could have been lost in minutes. The story went viral, but for students and residents, it was nothing new. Many houses in Brampton are subdivided into multiple illegal rentals. Living rooms become bedrooms, garages become kitchens, and privacy is non-existent. Students reported paying $400 to $800 per month for a single bed in such units. Not even a private room, just a mattress in a crowded space. Some even share a bed with strangers to cut costs. Others work overnight shifts just to afford rent while attending classes by day, leaving them physically and mentally drained. Landlords know their tenants are afraid to complain. Many students fear eviction, deportation, or losing their chance at permanent residency if they push back. This single case revealed the ugly truth. Brampton's housing crisis is not about a few bad landlords. It is systemic exploitation. Chapter 3. How policies created the nightmare. Canada's federal government has aggressively promoted international student recruitment, approving record numbers of visas. In 2023 alone, nearly 560,000 student permits were issued nationwide. Ottawa benefits from the billions students bring into the economy, but it has not tied these numbers to actual housing capacity. Cities like Brampton are left to cope with the fallout. Provincial governments have allowed private colleges to mushroom, often recruiting aggressively abroad without securing dorms or affordable accommodation for students. Developers, meanwhile, chase profits by building condos and luxury homes instead of affordable rentals. Housing has become a financial asset, not a human necessity. Brampton's own 2040 vision promised growth and renewal, but affordable housing remains more of a slogan than reality. The Ontario government announced in 2024 that schools must guarantee housing for the students they recruit, but implementation has been slow and patchy. The result? A perfect storm where federal visa approvals, provincial inaction, and municipal weakness combine to produce chaos. Brampton has been left to absorb thousands of newcomers with almost no support, a city pushed past breaking point. Chapter 4. The human toll behind every statistic is a person. Asha, a young woman from India, thought she'd live in safe student housing. Instead, she ended up in a moldy basement with 6 others, fearing fire and illness every night. Ravi, working 2 jobs to survive, pays hundreds for half a bed in a shared room. His grades are slipping as exhaustion takes over. Maria, from the Philippines, was tricked by an agent who promised a dorm but delivered a subdivided house with 12 strangers. She cries quietly, ashamed to tell her parents the truth. Community groups in Brampton say these stories are common. Students call begging for food, housing leads, or simply someone to listen. Local families also suffer. Neighbors complain about overflowing garbage, constant noise, and unsafe conditions spilling over into their communities. The tension between residents and newcomers is rising, with resentment growing on both sides. Longtime Canadians feel their neighborhoods are collapsing. Students feel abandoned in a foreign land. The sense of betrayal runs deep. Families sent their children to Canada for opportunity, but instead they found danger and exploitation. Brampton's crisis isn't abstract. It is lived in basements, classrooms, and broken dreams every single day. Chapter 5. Brampton's Failed Solutions. To address the issue, Brampton introduced a residential rental licensing (RRL) pilot program in 2024. The plan was to license rentals, inspect units, and crack down on unsafe housing. But the program quickly stalled. Landlords pushed back, tenants feared eviction, and the city lacked the staff to enforce the rules. Technical glitches in the system further derailed the rollout. Within months, the pilot was paused, leaving renters back where they started. Reforms that remained were watered down, background checks removed, paperwork requirements loosened. Critics said the city bowed to landlord pressure. Meanwhile, eviction notices skyrocketed. Thousands of tenants faced renovictions between 2017 and 2021 as landlords pushed out residents to cash in on higher rents. The landlord and tenant board is so backlogged that many cases take months or years to resolve. By then, tenants are long gone. Brampton city inspectors admit they can't keep up. Illegal rentals appear faster than they can be reported, creating a game of whack-a-mole the city cannot win. Instead of reform, the city's approach has left vulnerable tenants unprotected and landlords emboldened. Chapter 6. A national problem. Brampton is just the epicenter. Cities across Canada, from Surrey in BC to Mississauga in Ontario, face similar crises. The federal government capped student permits at 364,000 in 2024, down 35% from 2023. But while this slowed growth, it didn't fix the housing shortage. Canada is still short nearly 3.5 million homes by 2030, according to the CMHC. Cutting visas doesn't magically build houses. International students who contribute billions annually now feel scapegoated. They're blamed for the crisis, even though the real issue is policy failure. Citizens, meanwhile, face skyrocketing rents, crowded services, and growing frustration. Anti-immigrant sentiment is quietly spreading as Canadians ask why their own families can't afford homes while immigration levels stay high. The danger isn't just unsafe housing, it's social division, distrust and resentment. Brampton's nightmare is a preview of what could unfold nationwide if Canada doesn't act. Chapter 7. The way forward. Solutions exist, but they require courage. First, link student visas to guaranteed housing. If schools recruit, they must house. Second, regulate private colleges that exploit students for profit. Tie funding and licensing to student welfare. Third, enforce rental licensing with real penalties. Illegal landlords must face consequences, not just warnings. Fourth, require affordable housing quotas in every new development, not optional guidelines developers can ignore. Fifth, expand tenant protections and fast-track complaint systems so students can report abuses without fear. Sixth, align federal immigration levels with actual housing capacity. Canada must plan immigration realistically, not politically. Seventh, invest in student and newcomer support programs, from housing hotlines to legal aid. The road ahead is tough, but if Canada acts decisively, Brampton's nightmare can become a wake-up call instead of a death sentence. Chapter 8. The Wake-Up Call. Brampton is not just another Canadian city. It is the warning siren for the entire nation. The story of students crammed into basements is a story of neglect, greed, and misplaced priorities. Immigration without planning is not opportunity, it is chaos. And chaos always hurts the most vulnerable first. If leaders at every level ignore Brampton's plight, the same nightmare will spread from suburb to suburb, province to province. Citizens must realize this is not someone else's problem. Rising rents, stretched hospitals, and fractured communities affect us all. Students must know they deserve more than survival. They came here for education, not exploitation. The wake-up call is clear. Act now, or the Canadian dream will crumble into a Canadian disaster. Brampton's crisis is Canada's warning, and we cannot afford to hit snooze. Don't look away. This crisis affects us all, students, immigrants, taxpayers. Hit subscribe, share this video widely, and join the fight for housing justice in Brampton and across Canada. And if you're in Brampton or Peel region, call your local representative and demand a plan. Let's turn the nightmare into action, together.